tell us about Horse Light and Rocking Chairs.
Okay, well, it's my new album. It's coming out next week. It's been like about a year and a half in the making, but it's actually been 6 years since my last album. Since that time, it's kind of I've been concentrating more on the remixes and the singles, and I haven't really felt the need to get stuck into an album. I'm quite slow in the studio. I'm not very prolific. I used to be, but I'm not anymore since having kids.
Okay.
So
other responsibilities.
Yeah, exactly. So it's taken a while for me to kind of just feel like, okay, I can commit this time, and it feels like the right time to do it. But yeah, since about 1 year, I wanted to get stuck into the studio again to do an album and to try and make some more down-tempo music, get away a little bit from just the clubby stuff, and at the same time I also got out of storage, I got some of my old hardware synths and a little bit more kind of analog stuff together, and just got outside of just doing everything inside the computer, which was really inspiring, and actually as soon as I did that, set the old gear up, started recording, just playing stuff rather than doing everything as MIDI. It started to come together much more quickly. Mm-hmm. And I think on the album you can kind of hear it's slightly different sound to Amore. It feels a bit more random, there's more sort of weird synthy stuff going on, and I'm pretty pleased with how it's turned out, and it's getting some nice feedback and some comments from some good DJs, so yeah, hopefully it will go okay and people will enjoy it.
I've also read that, you start with maybe a vocal sample or a sample and kind of build around that, and then really take it back to the studio after and kind of rework it a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So I pretty much just I do session or periods of collecting sounds and stuff together, just to then have when I'm sort of on the road and traveling around. And I mean the laptop enables me to be able to get stuff to a pretty good level before getting it back into the studio on proper monitors and being able to take stuff further. So a lot of the album kind of did start from, I mean, just that like 7 in the morning when you've just finished a set, when you're always kind of a little bit too wired to go to sleep. But and actually a lot of the time I always get the first flight home rather than kind of going to bed up in the hotel.
Oh,
somewhere.
Interesting. So you usually don't even sleep.
No, I normally travel, get home first.
Okay.
And when you're in that kind of headspace, it's like, do you kind of try and make use of the time in a positive way, or do you just kind of bomb out? And normally I try and, I sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes I find I can get in quite a nice weird headspace where I feel like getting some stuff together and some interesting ideas come out, because you're almost half asleep, you're kind of in a kind of lucid
but still
state.
Some vibes from the gig and stuff like that, so you can still ride that.
Yeah, exactly. And if it's been a good gig and you're excited and fired up and a bit inspired, and you're thinking about the tracks that went down really well and stuff, and that kind of acts as inspiration. I was really lucky because actually in Essex, where I grew up, it was quite an influential time, and it was an influential place for dance music culture. We also had a really influential club called The Barn. This is when I was 16. So it was a little bit before, like, we used to be able to get in just, I don't know how we got in, but we got in because we were a bit too young to be able to go.
Pay the bouncer or something like that.
Exactly. But this was in about 1988 and 89, so it was really just starting to explode there. I first, through my dad being a drummer, he was starting to get given or loaned early drum machines, and so that he would be bringing these drum machines home. And
so around the same time, like 10, 11, you were getting exposed to that.
When the TR-808 first came out in 83 or something. So straight away I had access to that and realised that all these tracks were being made on these machines and learning how to do it. So actually, from quite a young age, I was lucky enough to have access to that stuff from a young age. Has definitely given me a head start. So that's kind of how I got into it and learned my trade.